Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone here to Fall River Government Center on this beautiful Friday afternoon. And I'd like to welcome everyone and thank everyone for joining us today as we honor and recognize October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. My name is Kyle McPherson. I'm an Assistant District Attorney and the Chief of the District Courts for the Bristol County District Attorney's Office. And I would like to thank and recognize some individuals that are here today. I'd like to thank District Attorney Quinn, who is here, Mayor Coogan, as well as Deputy Chief Barden Castro of the Fall River Police Department, and Representative Carol Fiola, who will be speaking as well. I'd like to first start by explaining what it is that we do at the District Attorney's Office as it relates to domestic violence. And essentially what we do is approach this terrible problem on two separate tracks. The first track that we approach it with is to empower, empathize, and listen to victims of domestic violence. And I would just send a message out to any victims of domestic violence that you will be heard, you will be listened to, you will be understood, and if you come forward, you will not face judgment, you will receive understanding from the District Attorney's Office. And that is something that all of our prosecutors and victim advocates who are also here today, that is something that all of them strive to achieve every time they encounter a victim. So that is one track, in empowering and understanding the victims. And on the other track is holding the offenders accountable by bringing justice in whatever way we can, using all available resources, personnel, and abilities at the District Attorney's Office to ensure that those that perpetrate this crime are held to account to the standards of this society. And it's extremely important to treat both of those avenues from the District Attorney's Office as vital in order to successfully do what we can to help this just incredibly difficult situation that so many people face. And one of the things that prior to being the chief of the district courts, I was the chief domestic violence prosecutor for this city at the District Attorney's Office. And one of the things that I think I've come to learn is that domestic violence is devastating, not just because of the physical scars that it leaves on its victims, but because of the extreme harm it does within the community. It tears houses apart. A house that is suffering domestic violence within it is not a house. It is in many instances a prison. And when you have a community that is full of those sorts of places where people have to live, as opposed to homes, that community, quite frankly, does not function. The citizens in it cannot achieve what they want to achieve. They cannot live the lives that they want to live. And again, as we start and we hear from some of the other speakers today, I would just like to say to the victims of domestic violence, we hear you, and it is very few of us have the opportunity to display courage. And even fewer of us display that courage when that opportunity presents itself. However, to every single victim of domestic violence that I have worked with and had the privilege to know, I would just say that they display real courage, real heroism, and that their suffering is not in vain, and that we will do everything we can to help alleviate this situation. And some of the other individuals that are here today are, one of the other organizations that is here is STAR. And the first person that I would like to bring up is Blair Seamus, a clinician at STAR. And I believe she's going to explain to us the Clothesline Project and some other things that are going on there. So please, Blair Seamus.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Blair. I'm one of the clinicians at STAR. And I just want to take a second and thank every single one of you for coming out and being here and supporting this awareness. So the Clothesline Project was founded in 1990 on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, so right in this state. And it is a powerful visual initiative designed to raise awareness about violence against women. Survivors and individuals impacted by violence, they create these t-shirts that are displayed here with images and words representing their experiences. These shirts are then displayed on a clothesline for public viewing and will be displayed for the entire month of October. This symbolic act serves as a form of expression, allowing survivors to share their stories while also commemorating those who have lost their lives to violence. The Clothesline Project aims to foster healing, educate the public, and motivate action against domestic violence. There's also purple ribbons on that table, and we do have extras if anybody didn't grab one, and we welcome you to wear them in support. Thank you so much for being here again, and I'll hand it back over to Kyle.
Thank you, Blair.
Let's just go. The next individual that will be speaking today is the District Attorney for Bristol County, Tom Quinn, who has made this issue extremely important in his administration, and I think his leadership is vital in this issue. And please welcome Tom Quinn, the Bristol County District Attorney.
Thank you, Kyle, and thanks for everybody's presence here. We have a number of people from our office, Mayor, Representative Fiola. This has been domestic violence and the toll it takes on the individual, primarily women and their families, is significant. It's not going to go away, but it has to be faced. That's something I've made a priority throughout my career as a prosecutor, is to prosecute cases, hold people accountable for their conduct, again, which is extremely detrimental to our society. This is October's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But just to give you some indication, this year, we've had over 2,200 domestic violence arraignments, a little over 700 out of Fall River. So unfortunately, the epidemic, if you will, or the plague of domestic violence continues, but everybody working together can try to continue to address it and ultimately try to, again, hold people accountable. Women should not be exposed to this, or anybody for that matter, be punched in the face or assaulted in any way, especially when they're in the presence of children. So it becomes cyclical. People see it, given their circumstances, and it just gets repetitive. So I think everybody coming together to highlight this and focus on the work that's been done, but also the continued fight against domestic violence. It's been a priority of me, again, for over 36 years, and it will continue to be. So thank you very much.
The next individual that I would like to ask to come up is Representative Carol Fiola, another individual who's been an absolute stalwart champion of this issue, and she would like to say a few words.
Thank you very much to our DA, our mayor, and all of you who are on the front lines every day helping those victims and prosecuting the defendants. It goes without saying, you live it, but preaching to the choir here, we know how prevalent this is. We average about 19 homicides a year, maybe 18 or 19 a year for the last decade in Massachusetts alone. Those are just the homicides. That's not what you see every day, our police force, you all at STAR and at the DA's office seeing the victims of assault, very severe assault, that don't result in murder, but result in lasting effects for the victim, primarily women, and their families, and their children especially are affected by this. They say in the United States about half of all women will be victims of some type of assault, and often before the age of 25. So the work that you do throughout the community, educating young women in our schools is vital. In any way in the state that we continue to fund and support programs is a way that we can help as well. Can't thank you all enough for what you do every day. It's just, we read about it when it's high profile. We see currently right now, there's an alleged, is that the word we're supposed to use? Alleged victim by a very high profile person who has everything to lose in the world. Tens and tens of millions of dollars of salary. That doesn't stop someone. So we have to work on educating women to find the signs and stay away as best as possible. Thank you all for what you do.
Thank you, Representative Feiel. The next individual who's going to come up and speak is Mayor Coogan of Fall River. Oh, I apologize. I may have too off. Mayor Coogan and the representatives of STAR are going to read the domestic violence proclamation. They say this is the only one that amplifies.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Whereas domestic violence remains an ongoing epidemic that impacts individuals, families, and our greatest Fall River community, and
whereas domestic violence most egregiously impacts the vulnerable and marginalized people in our community, including Black, Indigenous, and people of color, immigrants, the elderly, the economically disenfranchised, LGBTQ folks, women and children, and those with mental or physical disabilities. And whereas nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States, which represents more than 10 million victims of domestic violence annually, and
whereas violence against women has intensified in the United States and globally since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, with 1 in 2 women reporting that they or a woman that they know has experienced violence since the pandemic. And domestic violence is understood to be a problem that is exacerbated by the increased confinement with abusive partners, social isolation from support system, increased unemployment, unstable housing, stress associated with childcare, financial insecurity, and the lack of substance use supports. And
Whereas many of these survivors choose not to report to the police, the courts, or domestic violence agencies for fear of being harmed or re-traumatized by the systems that are meant to support them, and are also isolated from in-person support such as therapists, family members, and friends. And whereas we recognize that a coordinated community effort can prevent and abate the pattern of domestic violence, and that all our citizens deserve to live in a city that is dedicated to their well-being and safety, and
whereas the Greater Fall River Domestic Violence Coalition commit to advocate for dismantling systems of oppression that continue to make domestic violence possible, and commit to upholding an ethic of care and accountability that recognizes the unique vulnerabilities and agency of survivors. And now, therefore, I, Paul Coogan, Mayor of the City of Fall River, do hereby proclaim October 2024 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I urge all citizens to bring awareness to help us end domestic violence.
So as we wrap up here, we're going to invite everyone to head out to the flag. The flag's over here, is that? Oh, outside over here. That we're going to invite everyone to head out to the flag raising ceremony. I will encourage everyone to walk around and after that ceremony, take some time to really look at what's going on the clothesline project, and to think about, as difficult as it is to read what's on those shirts, and as troubling as some of these phrases might seem, think about the person that had to put it on the shirt and how difficult it was for them to experience it and to go through it. And as we talk about raising awareness in domestic violence, there's things that everybody can do. If your coworker is coming to work in the summertime wearing a turtleneck, if you see something happening, if you hear something happening, if you see domestic violence, if you hear domestic violence, You know it when you hear it. You know it when you see it. Every one of us has the power and the opportunity to do something to change it. You don't have to be a prosecutor or a police chief or a mayor or the district attorney to be able to do that. Every single one of us in the community owes it to do something in order to help these victims. And it is a life-changing experience to interact with a victim who's come through it the other side, because I can tell you, the way they describe it, the food tastes better, their time off is more enjoyable, the air is sweeter, their dreams are nicer, everything just gets better, and we all have the opportunity to do something to help those victims that are going through that. And we should all really take this month, take this opportunity, and just really, really do whatever we can. Again, I'd like to thank all of the speakers. I'd like to thank everyone that's here in attendance. And right now, I'd like to invite everyone for going out. We got a beautiful day for it, to enjoy the flag raising ceremony, and then to come back in and really understand what's going on with the Clothesline Project. Thank you so much.